Bati. Bati. Good morning. So, we recall at the last lecture, we talked of performance, evaluation and appraisal. And we said that one of the purposes for performance evaluation appraisal is to have training and development program to identify what are the weaknesses and therefore training and development. So, it is interconnected with that. Sad part is many organizations, they will have the performance evaluation and appraisal, but they will not have the training. All right, it is illogical, but it is so in many organizations. But in excellent organizations, they go hand in hand. Now, the purpose of training and development is the very word. Training means to teach people some knowledge, some skills, and also to help them change some of their attitudes. If the attitudes are mitigating against good performance, to train them, to teach them how to change the attitude. Now, in order for you to do that, the learning must come after you have done unlearning. If you have got a bad attitude, you have to first get rid of that attitude. So, we say first you unlearn sometimes and then only you learn. Okay. Training and development is comprising basically of the following structured steps. So, as we said, training and development are engaged in imparting specific skills, abilities and knowledge to the employees. There can be a distinction made amongst training and education. What is that? Training is the process of imparting skills, whereas education is the process of imparting or absorbing theoretical teaching, learning in classrooms. So, you see the difference. So, now you are attending a class. So, we say you are attending educational process, but normally for executives we have a training process where certain specific skills are being done. So, this is a distinction which is done. Then look here, development is another distinction. Development is exposure of the employees to general subjects or knowledge and attitudinal aspect. We talk of attitude, changing attitude. So, attitudinal aspects of overall self-improvement aimed at helping the employees to grow and assume responsibilities in higher positions. So, you understood the distinction here? Attitude and personal development. The company has got many jobs and you require training, okay, for the jobs. All right. Education, we said, is generalized kind of knowledge. Training is specialized knowledge. If you are taken as engineers, trainees, you already have some generalized knowledge because you had an education, but you may not have the specialized knowledge which the company requires you to have for you to do their work. So, they train you. Okay. And development is, as the very word says, to develop yourself, and the company helps you to do that. Won't the company themselves gain in the process, because you will do better performance later. So, all these three terms please remember. Now, here we say target segments. Training usually workers and supervisors, development generally executives and managers, and education is common to all employees irrespective of the grades. Okay? Training and development inputs skills. First, we have the technical skills required to do the job. Example, machine operation, if you are talking of shop floor level workers, computer usage, safe working skills. If you are in a factory, workshop, there are a lot of latent dangers. You have rotating machinery, isn't it? Handling of tools, which if not handled well can injure you. Conditions in the workshop, like if you are doing buffing or grinding operations, unless you know know that you require to protect your eyes and you have to wear goggles. Unless you know that, you may damage your eyes and so on. Then motor skills, specific physical activities, coordination to perform all activities, example, cycling and driving. Now, these are skills which you have to practice. Only theoretical instruction and classroom training is not going to give you these motor skills. If you want to learn how to bicycle, all the theory which I tell you is not going to help you. You have to actually get onto a bicycle, fall down many times, and then only you will learn. Hopefully, when you learn to drive a car, you will not crash many times. Hopefully, there will be an instructor sitting next to you with dual controls, you have two steering. Okay. Then interpersonal skills, to understand people better, to empathize, to communicate well, including listening, to mediate. What is mediate? Two people are quarreling or they have a dispute. Mediation means you must have the skill where you can positively intervene, all right, and help those two disputants to come to a amicable agreement. That is the skill required for mediation. Like if you are the eldest of three brothers and your two younger brothers are fighting and quarreling, you have to have the skill. You can beat both of them up and say stop it, but the other skill is to persuade them, don't fight, solve the dispute, and then tell them shake hands now, don't fight. So, this is the kind of skill you require in mediation. To facilitate, to motivate, to help in decision making and problem solving skills. So, it is a whole basket of skills which comes under interpersonal skills, which are required by every manager to perform his job successfully and to do it well. Okay. Education, teaching of the theoretical concepts to set the skills learning process within a framework of basic knowledge for better absorption of the skills. Education is an investment for superior job performance potential in future and not here and now job performance. You will find many companies, they encourage particularly the younger people to go on a kind of sabbatical. They grant them leave, they call it study leave. So, they say we will give you pay whilst you are doing this 1 year study leave, say you are going for your MTech 1 year program or 2 year program, and when you come back we will absorb you. You can have your full pay and perquisites whilst you are. Why are they doing it? They are investing in you, in your education, in the hope that when you go and acquire this knowledge, when you come back you do a better job. And of course, many companies then say you have to sign a bond, because we are giving you this pay and perks, and when you come back you have your job with us. Therefore, you must at least remain with us for 2 years or 3 years, so that we can get some of the benefit of the money we are investing in. Okay. Development is, the stress here is on knowledge about the business related environment, people related scenario and practices, competitive scenario and analysis for better management of the company. So, here you see there is more specificity about the company that you are working on, whereas education is of generalized framework. Go and do a MTech, you have a BTech, go and do a MTech. That general education at a higher level will help us in the company. Okay. Here you see the efforts are to help managers to be self-starters and goal achievers as distinct from task doers. Read this as task. Task. So, task doers means they do not wait till the boss gives them a task and then they do it. Okay. They initiate tasks on their own, they can foresee some problems which may come. That is a managerial quality, to be able to anticipate problems and do things without your boss asking you to do it. Then helps managers develop the value of result achievement as distinct from mere task performance. You see the difference, one is task performance, the other is result achievement. Is it necessary if you perform a task that the result will come? May not be. I am performing a task. What is the task I am doing? Teaching. Now, if none of you learns, have I achieved any result? No. So, this is the distinction. To make managers contributors to the organizational well-being, okay, by working towards the company's effectiveness in total goal achievement. Clear? So, what is saying, instead of living in the narrow confines of department of function, you look at the total company's goal. Remember, we have discussed this many times. Don't have your functional efficiency only, if that mitigates against the ineffectiveness of the company. Sales or marketing and production fighting. Why? Because the client wants changes after release of order and you say we can't give you changes, it will cost you more. In the process, the client will suffer. So, each department, why do they have a dispute? Each is trying to increase their own efficiency, they are forgetting about the client. So, training, when you do managerial training, you focus on these aspects, all right, to make people understand that effectiveness of the company is what is the ultimate goal. Then to make managers aware of their role in the well-being of the community in which they operate and derive benefits. Often you forget that you are allowed to exist as a company and operate because the community allows you to do it, may not give you a permission certificate. But remember, if you harm the interests of the community, they will rise up against you. So, you cannot have poison, waste, effluent which you throw into the river where the community is using it. You cannot have smoke going up which gives respiratory illnesses to the community around you. So, to make you aware of that also. Now, of course, you have all the national institutions like the Pollution Control Board, which is an enforcement board. They can stop your factory. You have to get their permission before you open a new factory and so on. So, it is a regulatory body. To understand and develop a passion for excellence in all aspects of operations. Passion for excellence, it is an attitude, it is a frame of mind, and training and development helps people to get that, helping managers to develop positive attitudes. The classic example, you see a glass and you say it's half full or you say it's half empty. Positive attitude and negative attitude. And you can train, there are training programs to train you for doing that. Actual profile of training inputs, all right. Now, you see this table, it summarizes the training design, it is a typical design. You have training input across employees, that is you have top level managers, middle level, lower level and operatives, that is the workers. And on this side, you have specific skills, motor skills, interpersonal skills, education, development, ethics, very important, particularly for higher level managers, decision making and problem solving. There may be more, this is just representative, all right. Now, let us say for operatives, all right. Specific skill for operatives, yes, they require it, all right. Specific skill for top managers, maybe no, not that important. But what is important for top managers is all the others, motor skills, they should be able to drive, use computers, use all the productivity improvement equipment which is within the office environment and so on, and all the rest of it. And you can see a pattern here, if you have lower level managers, there are fewer numbers that require to know, but as you go to the top, you require to know, and the process starts from middle management. So, by the time you have middle management, you should be positioned strongly, okay, to take up roles in top management positions. And what are the dynamics of training? Training once given needs to be repeated, remember that, particularly in areas like fire safety. If you are in a factory, you will have fire safety drills which are repeated periodically, because what happens, people forget, new people join. So, and it is so important that you require to repeat it. So, there is a frequency. Particularly skills training, as people forget or lose skills. Fire extinguisher, you lose the skill how to operate it. When there is a fire, there is an emergency, people are running around and you get to a fire extinguisher and you are in panic, you do not know how to operate it. That is why, and it happens all the time. So, you have to keep on repeated training. New areas of knowledge and need to be imparted to managers to keep them updated. Remember when we entered, so to say, the PC era, that is say about 25 years ago, before that offices did not have PCs. It used to have a mainframe computer department. So, when PCs came, there was massive training which had to be given to all employees to learn the use of PCs, and the training had to be calibrated and designed, because if it was a lower level person in an office like clerical or stenographers, typist category, they had to be taught how to operate specific programs and very high skill level. If it was a managing director, he had to be taught at least to see his mail if his secretary is not there. May not have all the skill, may not know how to type, touch typing with 10 fingers, maybe one finger, but at least he had to have a basic minimum knowledge. So, massive training has to be given. Why? Because change has come. So, new areas. Feedback is necessary from employees to fill training gaps and redesign the training format. Feedback was with performance evaluation and appraisal. So, this is the other side of the coin. Have you done that and established how he has performed? You also establish what are his areas of training and development from the same form, and that form goes to the training department and they find out the needs. So, it is a kind of continuing process. And can you stop training? या बस भी कीजिए बहुत ट्रेन हो गया, हाँ? No, why not? Why can't you just stop training? ये अभी खत्म करो, हो गया training. Because new machines come, new environment come, and you forget also. New people come, people leave. So, training has to be an ongoing process. The table below reveals the gaps in training obtained from survey findings from the Foundation of Organizational Research and Education of 50 central public sector companies in India. And here you see we have top, senior, these are levels of management, and middle level, these are managerial cadres. And you have here gap areas, the survey found these gap actually. Gap is knowledge in functional area, all right, leadership and human relations, managerial skills, job related attitudes general, and teamwork. Huge number of gaps which was revealed by the survey, and then they must have started addressing this gap areas by giving training programs, designing training programs. So, the process of training, although often training is imparted on an ad hoc basis as one off, okay, that means not a continuing, but just एक training दे दिया, one off module. In order to derive the maximum benefit, a holistic process should be followed in a logical sequence. Say a managerial training, you start with supervisory development, that is when you are at a lower level, and then when you go to higher level with more experience, managerial training, and the kind of training and which you impart will accordingly be calibrated so that you can fulfill the higher role. So, that is what a continuum of training, looking at it holistically, not just sending to one or two programs. The backdrop must be the vision, mission, goals and strategies of the organization. In terms of the above, assessment of the training needs. In terms of the above, establishment of training goals. So, you see it is a holistic, various categories and classification of employees. Then design of each level of training program, conducting the training program, sometimes with your own in-house faculty, very often with faculty from industry, that is other managers, sometimes bringing in faculty from educational institutions. Obtaining feedback on the program, how the programs went, was it a good quality program or not so good? If so, what are the areas of improvement? Correcting, altering programs in terms of the feedback you receive. Feedback from whom? Feedback from the participants. Now, assessment of training needs, all right. Needs for training must be assessed obviously both at the individual or the group and departmental levels. Training needs to be assessed by using a number of methods. Group analysis and individual analysis. Organizational goals Do the department know about the organizational goals? Does the group know? Skills inventories, what skills are required and are they available? Organizational climate indices, efficiency indices, exit interview, customer survey. Now, the customer may be internal customer. Say a production department is giving service to the sales department. Sales department is the production department internal customer. What is the feeling of the sales about the performance of the production department? So, these are internal surveys and you can have outside surveys. Performance appraisal, work sampling, interviews, questionnaires and attitude surveys. So, you have a whole plethora of instruments available by which you can make the assessment. And then having done it, you say who are the participants based on self request or recommendation. Some people ask for training, the employees, so that is self request, all right, and sometimes the bosses recommend. Who are the trainers or instructors? Outside consultants, as I said, sometimes faculty members from universities and institutes, in-house faculty chosen by HR department. HR department manages themselves, immediate or next superiors and industry associations like the Bengal Chamber of Commerce. You may ask them to recommend some of the trainers. Now, some of the training methods and techniques, on the job training, orientation, job rotation, nomination to teams and committees, participation in apprentice or internship program, that is the industry training which our BTech people go for. Okay. On the job and off the job is nomination to management or executive development programs like short term courses IIT run. So many executives and officers come. So, they are coming for this, they are being nominated for these programs. Study leave with job orientation, job lien, that means sent for leave as I mentioned earlier for studying. Participation in industry and trade associations, managing technical committees. What should the level of the training be? At the lowest level, the aim is to give basic knowledge of the field and orient in the fundamental aspects like language, concepts, relationships involved. The next level deals with imparting skills to perform in the assigned area of work, and at the highest level, the skills already acquired are sought to be honed further. Honed means improved. Furthermore, training for self development and business as well as interpersonal insights, both for your business, the industry, as well as for yourself, are developed for improving operational effectiveness. Okay. And what are these principles which we call learning principles? Motivation, practice of skills, reinforcement, feedback, meaningfulness. I mean, the participant should accept that it is meaningful for them to at all have this training. This logic should be accepted by them. Learning to be transferred to job performance. Naturally, if you learn something, it must be reflected in better performance of the job. Then the training really has value. Venue for training, on the job, off site and on site, but off the job. That means you go to the HR department's training room or seminar room. So, off the job, you are not in your job in the factory. Conducting the training, deciding the location, are you going to have it in Singapore, a training, or are you going to have it, all right, somewhere in Calcutta, or are you having it in your own factory? Scheduling the program consistent with the availability of the trainees. Don't think it's easy, you just ask for trainees and they come. You will find most departments say we cannot spare them, we got rush job now. So, the HR department has to do calendaring, they have to do it. Finding the appropriate trainers, also no point in having lousy trainers to do training, then you will be discredited, the whole process is defeated. Not easy to get good trainers, there are many trainers, but good trainers not so many. Monitoring progress and compiling the results of the feedback from the trainees as well as the trainers. After every training program, participants are asked to fill the feedback. Now, that feedback should not collect dust in the office, the HR department must at least then analyze this feedback, try and see patterns of behavior, try and find out who are the good trainers, whether the training program was good. The questionnaire is framed to give you these inputs, and then due action should be taken on it. Administration of accounts, what is the cost of training, all right. Acting on feedback, course content, duration, feedback form will tell you that, and you have to do that acting on it. Effectiveness of the program as well as the past training, coordinating with departments to ascertain the effectiveness. The participants may say very effective, but you go and ask the boss that you sent so many people over the last 3 years for this training, has it reflected in the work, and the boss says no, then obviously you cannot rely on only the feedback. So, you see, this is in brief the training and development in capsule form, and to sum up you can say that training is a continuous process. Why? Because the environment changes, people change. So, training has to be given. Training is very necessary to impart knowledge, skills, and to change and get good attitudes. Before you can give training, which is a learning process, you sometimes have to unlearn some bad habits and practices which have been acquired. Having unlearned it, you learn the new habits and practices, all right. Training is a scientific kind of activity. It is not a one-off. You have to look at the whole organization, all right. You have to look at the needs of the departments consistent with the needs of the organization's vision and mission, and in the department you have to look at the needs of various types of employees, and the implementation is important. Where you hold it, how you hold it, what kind of people do the training, and you have to have your own closed loop feedback as a HR department to see how effective your training has been, and keep on improving your own training methods and procedures to be on top of the job. Okay. So, we will end this today. As I said earlier, this will be a short class, and then we will meet after the